This is Jason breaking Benjamin, and taking a little time showing you kind of a little bit about the rig that I'm using. I've been using for a couple years now, but more importantly, the synergy aspect of it, which is kind of the heart and soul of this whole thing. I've been using it for a couple years. Been able to kind of swap. We're running a full stereo rig here, so you can see I have running left and right between these two chassis. So I'm using 4 different modules. Each have 2 channels, depending on the song. So I can do different gain stages, a little couple, kind of some different EQ curves if needed, throughout like the Dr. Z. Coming out of the power amps, right into some cab mount emulations over here, into some power amps. But the biggest thing about these modules for me is I've been with Axe Effects as well, Fractal for a couple of years, and I'm using basically with my main rig right now, the Fractal controls via MIDI everything that's happening in front. Pedals in the loop on the front end of the modules, to effects behind the modules and before the preamp, as well as channel changing. And like I said, everything's in stereo. So we try to use different voicings on the left and right side as we send those out, just for a little bit more width. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed that's on the sonic side from like our monitor engineer or front of house engineer is kind of the width and the dynamic play that you're just going to get with an analog circuit with tubes and things that evolve. You're just not going to get with something digital like this. These are great representations. There's a lot of other modelers out there that are great. But when you A/B them, you have your in-ears in, or you've got a stereo set of cabinets, or you're in a PA that's got full width on it, there's absolutely no way of comparing these two. I find I don't have to turn my ears up as loud. I don't have to make my tones quite as bright. Right off each module through the power amp, a little more body because of that warmth that I'm getting there. And also being able to push the front end of it with the real drive. So from there coming in, I get 2 channels each one plus an additional drive setting there per side. So that's great. And that give and take with those tubes responding, just whether you want it squishy, where you want it tighter, or different modules that can react a different way. It takes everything, moves it out here. Again, so I don't need to be as loud up here in the mix. I can go wide and sit where I need to. And with a band that has 3 stereo guitar players at times, it's pretty crucial that we all have our own space. So I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed, other than just the fact of being able to come here and swap out modules, mess around with some pots and some tones, be able to just blindly listen. I can put on ears or pull up my wedges or cabs or whatever. Stand on the other side of the rack, cowboy white tech here, and go, we might need a little bit more with this guitar. You can come and tweak it. We have a myriad of different guitars, different pickups, and it is so much easier to kind of switch back and forth with these analog modules than it is going through a digital interface, which is such a clean, pristine emulation of one thing. Whereas this, again, it's just being more dynamic. I like to play with my volume pot a lot on all my pickups. Again, something that'll bring these modules out. And for this run, we're using, for my dirties left and right, I got this Fiat Pitbull on one side, and I've got the SL2 on the other. Between these, these are pretty different sounding modules. We'll go to like a little bit more of a scoop kind of thing here sometimes. Sometimes we'll push some mids. And then we have kind of the Ford Marshall sound over here. So they're doing different things, or reacting different ways. I had the SLO in here for a while. We swapped it out for the SLO2. This is an outstanding module. A little bit more gain, a little bit more versatility with the mods that you got going on here. And then the other half of my tone that I'm using is basically like a breakup, on the edge of breakup tone that I can mix with stereo dirties or stereo cleans simultaneously. So with that, we're using this Freedom Dirty Shirley as well as the Dr. Z. We've also swapped in and out the Morgan, correct? Is that right? Yeah. The Morgan, yeah. And they're all great. Literally, the HB, the Harry Brown, we've been able to do some different things. So being able to use those, gain some of those stages back, and there's some really cool things going on to this Dr. Z I really like. Being able to use those as stereo as well. The key with these edge of breakup tones, I think, is we've found kind of going that there's certain things that rather than panning, we can keep things wide and maybe pull back the gain staging on one of these sides. So you're going to get the tails and the delays and the reverbs and things like that really are prominent more so on one side. And it seems like your image shifts a little left without clouding up the middle of the mix. Super solid, knock on wood, never had anything gone down. We've tried tons of modules. We've done Uber Shawls, we've done the 6505, we've done the Mesa, Use these in the studio as well. We'll bring them out and swap them out with a bunch of different heads that we have. Because you just never know how it's going to react. The cab being a big part of the tone, be able to swap out different cabs, but also be able to look at different, very quickly pass through some different voicings and see what we like with which cabinet, with which mic combination. So these are all over the new record as well. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of gracious here. I don't see myself going back, that's for sure.